3 months ago, Anita Hill appeared before a Senate committee and accused Supreme Court nominee Clarence Thomas of sexually harassing her. The whole country watched the hearings on television, and when they were over, Clarence Thomas went to the Supreme Court, and Anita Hill went home to resume her career as a law professor at the University of Oklahoma.
I don't feel that I'm a failure, that I've failed myself or anyone else. I did what my conscience told me I had to do. And you cannot fail when you do that.
We haven't heard much from Anita Hill since those hearings, but she's heard a lot from people around the country. More than 30,000 letters of support, many from women who shared their stories with her and let her know she's not alone.
People are talking about the problem as a real issue. And that's important if we're going to move to some kind of solution to it. Women are also talking about the experiences. Women who have hidden these experiences from even their husbands for years are able to talk about them. And that's important emotionally and psychologically. And so those two things alone are positive.
You've been described as someone who is conservative in your position in the world. Is that a fair description of you?
I think that I am conservative to a number of people because I do have a religious background. I do go to church. I'm very close to my family. I have a strong belief in the family structure. And I work in a very conservative profession. As a law professor, generally it's a conservative profession. So I think in that sense it is fair to say that on some issues or in some respects I am conservative.
How would you describe yourself politically?
Politically? I don't know. I guess I resist labels because I think once you put a label on someone, then everybody automatically assumes that they know how you think.
Republican or Democrat?
Oh, you want to know what my party affiliation is? I'm a Democrat.
You're a Democrat?
Yes.
I'm told that you have a picture of Eleanor Roosevelt on your office wall with a quote from her that says you gained strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You must do things you think you cannot. Is that?
That's
you do have that on the wall.
I have that on the wall, on the door of my office. And to be honest with you, up until a few months ago, I thought that was there for the students. And now I think it applies. I read it on a regular basis because it certainly applies to me now more than I ever thought it would.
Why?
Why? Because I think over the last few months I have had to look fear in the face, and I've had to do things that took a lot of courage. And even though I'm convinced that they were the right thing to do, the right actions to take, they weren't easy.
What were the costs to you?
Well, there is obvious costs of privacy, loss of privacy. There were costs in terms of my family. My parents were exposed to ugliness in a way that was really unfair and unfortunate and hurtful to them. And that is something that makes me very angry, that they would have to, at this age, that they would have to be exposed to that kind of ugliness when what they've done is tried to raise 13 children and do the best that they could, and I think that they've done a great job. And I was publicly vilified. And of course that's ugly, and it's something that I would not wish on anybody else.
Let me ask you two difficult questions, and it's not an effort to rehash the hearings, but these are the two questions that I think I heard in conversation more than any other. Mm-hmm. People say, well, I sat there and I watched her and I wanted to believe her, but I don't understand how she could say nothing for 10 years. I don't understand how she could stay with him. I don't understand how she could follow him to another job. How do you make those people understand?
I can't make those people understand. I really can't. Not from my situation. But what I can do is really to share with those people what others have experienced. One of the things that women do when this happens is to examine themselves, and even to the extent of blaming themselves, their own behavior, their own actions, their own words. And so that is a factor in women not coming forward. Another thing that happens very often is that women are told, either by their harassers or by others, that they won't be believed if they come forward. And they know of enough experiences of other women where not only were they not believed, but they were actually made to be the culprit in these situations. And with that background, with all the societal pressures, with the economic pressures of trying to keep a job, with the pressures of knowing that you need a reference from this job to get the next one, women very often choose to try to get out of the situation or deal with it as best possible at the time and move on to the next in the future.
Do you think that's what, in essence, happened to you, that you came forward and they didn't believe you? That in some ways you were made to be the culprit?
Yes, indeed, that is what happened. And I think that anyone raising a claim of sexual harassment has to understand that there is a great potential for that occurring. But what you can only ask for, and what I think most of us would ask for, is fair hearing.
Do you think you got a fair hearing?
No, I don't think that it was a hearing on the issue. And in that sense, no.
It was a hearing on?
I am not going to analyze what the hearing was on. And I can't say enough that we need to get beyond those hearings, because I think what those hearings come down to is me against him. And that we need to move beyond that, because for many people that issue is already decided. It's already decided. So the question is, where do you go from here? Where do I go with my life from here? And what can we make of that situation? What can we learn from that situation that we can move, take and apply somewhere else?
You think it would have been different if there had been a woman on the committee?
I think so. I think there would have been more sensitivity. I hope that it would have been different. And I honestly believe that there would have been more sensitivity. But what we have to understand is that claims of sexual harassment that I'm talking about, that women have to deal with on a regular basis, are not going to be brought in that setting. They're going to be brought in a trial setting with rules of procedure and evidence that will be adhered to. And when they are not adhered to, there can be objections raised. How we deal with it is going to be important if we ever intend to rid the workplace of these problems. And it has to be. We've got to confront this, and we've got to get beyond these myths that we hear and read and tend to believe because they're easier to believe about women. We've got to get to the real problem, the reality.
The myth being that women ask for it?
Women ask for it, that they control it, that they somehow they file these claims because they're disappointed, employment, or romantically disappointed. All of those things And who knows? In some cases, very rare cases, according to statistics, that may be true. But that doesn't deal with the whole vast majority of the cases where these are valid claims. Women are oppressed and they don't feel like they have an outlet to address them.
Do you think this becomes an issue in the upcoming election?
I think that it is already an issue in the '92 election in the sense that people have been, appear to have been motivated by this whole thing to become more politically involved.
Are you going to have any kind of role in that?
I think that it's very positive, and I would like to do what I can to encourage it. But I am not a political organizer. I'm not a politician. I don't want to run for political office. I like the classroom. I mean, I enjoy being in the classroom. I like the interaction with the students. I like thinking. I like provoking them to think. I enjoy that.
When someone looks at you and sees Anita Hill, what do you want that to mean to them?
I would like them to remember that I'm really just an ordinary person. I have a job, I go to work every day, I have to earn a living, and that what I did was something that I felt as an individual I had to do, that it was important for me to do. Someone said to me the other day that, you know, you're a brave person, you're a tougher person than I am. And I said, well, the only thing that I can say is that I've been tested. And I think that there are a lot of women out there who can stand the test. They don't think that they can. But there are so many others out there who could do the same thing if they have to.
Giving up, giving